Food's very important. Good food is even more important, and having a variety of food is great. But quite what food you get is not always what you expect. And a few years ago I went up to Greenland and I travelled with native hunters for about 10 days in Liverpool land, which is just north of a little township called Atokitormet. And we went out with the native hunters and they took native food with us. And some of it was absolutely delicious. Muskox is great. It's really like a nice bit of rare beef, and there's plenty of them around, so the hunters don't mind taking it. We also tried polar bear. Polar bear is a bit full of heavy metals because it's at the top end of the food chain, and it's maybe not terribly good for the health, but we had both boiled and stewed polar bear, and that was quite acceptable. But the seal was something else. The seal was the only day on that trip that we broke out the emergency rations. I don't know whether seal is always rancid, but certainly the seal that we had that day was just about enough to make you vomit. In fact, I find quite interesting because Scott's men, unlike Amundsen's men in the Antarctic, they never ate seal. And it was partly for that reason that a lot of the British explorers in the early Antarctic days were a bit liable to develop scurvy.
I think there's a tendency for people to obsess about fitness. I think a general level of fitness is important. But I would step back slightly and say this is more about the journey. Wherever you're going, trying to enjoy the environment, trying to enjoy the company you're with. That's so much more powerful than the actual moves on a route. Don't get me wrong, I love the climbing and I love the moves, but the overall experience is what you're trying to enjoy. It would be my thoughts.
I normally suffer on the way in, so for walking into a trek or a climb, I normally get uncomfortably stiff and sore from having not been fit enough.
I mean, what's really interesting is watching different strategies. You see some people arrive super fit on their expedition, and often if they're going to high altitude they'll go really very quickly and become potentially ill.
I think there are a number of different pieces of kit that I would never ever travel without on an expedition. The first one would certainly be a few medications. I'd never go anywhere without painkillers, and I'd certainly never go anywhere without a dose of loperamide Imodium to make sure people are bunged up. That can be really uncomfortable at certain points in the trip, so being able to deal with that situation, which is probably the most common illness on any situation, is a dose of the trots. So certainly having some Imodium is very, very useful. The other piece of kit I would not travel without is either some zinc oxide tape or gaffer tape, something very, very sticky that you can put things back together, including people. I think that's really, really useful.
Diseases now have specific patterns of prevention, and that is the emphasis of the book. We don't want to destroy the exploratory attitude or ethos. We don't want to discourage people from doing challenging things, of scaling new peaks, achieving new records, obtaining data, biological, meteorological data in new areas. You know, the essence of exploration, we don't want to extinguish that. That's a common misperception of expedition medicine, is that we're trying to crush people's ambition. Not at all. We want to encourage people to have the joy and excitement and challenge of travelling in remote areas, but at the same time we want to reduce risk as far as that's possible.